Which of the services are they from?
Sir, IRSE, sir.
IR?
SE.
So, civil engineering. Okay. Where are you placed at all, or in your respective homes or in academy?
Sir, we are attending this lecture from our homes only.
In the?
From home, sir.
From home. Yeah, you are in your respective homes.
Yes, sir.
Oh, great. Great. Good. So, which part of the training you are undergoing? Is it a early stage, or it is a mid or a stage of completion and then joining?
Sir, we are yet to complete 50%. So we joined in October 2020.
Okay. October 2020. So all your training sessions are going under the COVID influence only, huh?
Yes, sir.
You people are so unfortunate that you could not be able to go around and then, see the world around, India around at least. So everything is under lockdown. Anyways, all the participants are there in the class. Can I know from a couple of people some voice other than the present one?
Yes, sir.
So Ghaffari has told somebody else.
Good morning, sir.
Morning, Pramit. How are you?
I'm fine, sir.
Where are you from?
Sir, I'm from Kolkata.
You are from Kolkata. Okay, great. Who else? Who else on this web class?
Morning, sir.
Vandanesh, good morning. Where are you from?
Sir, I'm from Uttar Pradesh.
Part of the Uttar Pradesh you belong?
Northern Uttar Pradesh.
Northern, okay. So I think all settled down in Uttar Pradesh. Like 15 days back, the issue was there of COVID. All these things have, is now manageable.
Yes, sir, to some extent.
Achha, to some extent. Oh, good. We have been, trying to help people, including Delhi and UP people, through virtual mode by connecting known friends who are in service to help patients from Lucknow, all other places like Prayagraj, Agra, so many places. So what we found was that compared to 10 days or 13 days back, now the situation is, manageable limit. The 13 days back, things are so unmanageable that even when we place a request for oxygen bed, IAS officers themselves were not in a helping position. I hope that now the situation is manageable. Anybody else? Vandanesh, Abdur, Pramit. Who else are there? Only three? All muted and left somewhere. Who is Apur? Anjani, Rishabh, Naveen, Vikas, Simran Preet, Akash.
Morning, sir.
Morning, Akash. Where are you from?
Sir, I'm from Malikotla, Punjab.
You are a Punjabi?
Yes, sir.
Oh, great. Yeah. Great to know. You are a turban Punjabi or unturban Punjabi?
Turban Punjabi, sir.
Turban Punjabi. I love it. Great to know from you. Who else is there? Apur?
Yes, sir.
Apur is from where?
Sir, from Gazi, Uttar Pradesh.
Uttar Pradesh. Great to know. Abash, Rishabh, Naveen, Vikas. No one is there. I'm just curious to know where from. What is the spread of this patch? Where from? Which of the states spread it is?
Sir, mainly from northern India, sir. Most of the batch. Some of the people are from south, but
Okay.
from northern India, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh, Delhi.
Okay.
So this is the batch mix.
So great. You people are truly representing, all the states. So let us go into this, today's topic. Just a minute. Share the screen. Sorry. Are you able to see this screenshot?
Yes, sir.
All done. So let begin with a small, interactive session as to what you know about this NPS, the word called NPS. You must be knowing something because you have all have joined and been in this scheme for more than 6-7 months, and you must have been interested to know what is all this about. Let's chip in, like each and every one, no issues whether it is right or wrong. It's not going to be taken in any other way. Just I'm trying to understand that what level of understanding that you all are in this particular topic. What do you know about NPS? Anybody?
A certain portion of our salary is deposited every month into NPS scheme, and there's also an equivalent or higher contribution from the government side into NPS accounts. NPS accounts, and these funds are later managed by pension fund managers. Broadly, I think there are for the government sector there are 3 schemes: UTI, SBI, and LIC.
Okay, all done. Very good. So contributions from the employer and employee are put it together, being invested by the pension fund managers. They manage the fund for what? What this PFM does? Any idea? You said about three. You said about 3 PFMs for government sector. What these guys do?
Sir, these hello.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Sir, these pension fund managers actually invest these in equity, debt schemes, or government bonds. Though, so they invest in these bonds, and we get the rate of return as per our. We can choose how much we invest in which part, but central government has restricted the number of alternatives we have. In corporates, we have more alternatives, so we can adjust how much we invest in where.
Yeah, very good, very correct. I mean, I think you have understood most of the most of the stuffs about this scheme. Anybody else? Anything else to contribute? There are so many things in this NPS. There is one about this contribution. The second one is about the investment by and management by the PFMs, and the third one is that you have a variety of asset classes where you are able to choose certain asset proportions as to how your invested corpus should look like in terms of the proportion of the assets. Anything else?
So there is tier 1 and tier 2 account.
Exactly. Very good. Tier 1 and tier 2. There are 2 tiers of accounts. So what does this tier 1 and tier 2 says?
Sir, in tier 2, we can contribute on our own, while in tier 1, government only contributes in tier 1 account.
What about tier 2?
So tier 2 is for investment purposes only, specifically.
Tier 2 is for, see, actually both, if you say that, both are for investment purpose only. But there are certain restrictions in terms of tier 1 and in tier 1. In tier 2, there is no restrictions whatsoever. And therefore, we just call it as called a liquidity, account, a liquidity account. Like basically, we go for tier 2 only for kind of like a liquid cash type one, wherever you want, you can take away the money as you choose, as you wish. So there is no restrictions in the tier 2 account. Anything else?
Sir, in tier 2, the tax benefit goes to only government employees.
Sorry, please come again. Tier 2, the tax benefit is?
Only to government employees.
Okay. Okay. What about, okay, we will deal this tax related matters when we deal this slides. Anything else?
Sir, after retirement, we can withdraw up to 60% of the corpus, and 40%, from 40% we can get monthly pension till then.
Okay, so 60% it will go to you. You can take away, you can take out the 60% of your total corpus. The remaining 40% will serve as a pension, isn't it? So who these guys manages your pension, this 40% of your account? Are they same PFMs or are they different people? Any idea?
So I think there are different people than some other managers. No, these are transferred to that, and they then give out the pension annually.
Right, exactly. So they are not the same guys. Of course, in the lot which has been accepted or authorized, players, few people are common people, both PFMs as well as we call it as ASPs, annuity service providers. These are the guys who manages your remaining 40% of the fund and then give you the pension as whatever scheme of the pension that you choose. There are a lot of choices available even in the pension also. So based on your choice, this will be given. I mean, pension will be arranged by your ASPs. Anything else? What do you get when you apply when you submit your form? In return of your form application, what do you get?
A permanent retirement account number.
Yes, it is called as PRAN number. I mean, permanent retirement account number. Why it is called so permanent? Why is it so called permanent?
Sir, it is transferable to the central and state governments also.
Exactly. It's not only central or state. Even if you go or even if you choose to take up an employment in a private segment, even then you can shift this PRAN number, and wherever you go, it's like just like you wear your shirt and then just go along everywhere. This PRAN number is so unique throughout your employment, and wherever you can go, you can just identify yourself with this PRAN number. So the PRAN number is so unique. It is not you can't change your PRAN number each and every place, as your PRAN number is uniquely linked with the PAN number. You are a permanent account number, like PAN number. So it's a one single number. That is why it is called as permanent retirement account number. Anything else?
So an extra 50,000 tax rebate can also be claimed for Section 80cc.
Okay, okay. In addition to
1.5 lakhs of
In
tax
addition
rebate
to-
for 80c.
Yes, exactly. So 1.5 plus another 50,000. It can be, one can save it in this tier 1 account, so that you gain the tax benefit and your gross salary directly diminishes by this 50,000 rupees. Okay, anything else? I have seen this this particular group is most active volunteering. So many points have been brought out, and all these points are very true and valid. Kudos to this team of IRSC. I think few more points are there. If you have nothing, then we can start this presentation.
Sir, I think we can withdraw money almost 3 times in overall career from tier 1 account.
Oh, yes, it's true. So 3 times you can take throughout. As of now, as per the present policy, present day policy, an NPS employee is allowed to take out his own contribution, not the government contribution, but his own contribution plus the interest that accrued for his part of the investment. He can withdraw 3 times, but how much of the amount? Any idea?
No, sir. I have just idea that we can withdraw at the time of children's marriage and at the time of retirement, and once when we want to buy any home.
Okay. Earlier, there were 4 reasons on which an NPS employee is allowed to temporarily withdraw his amount. But now it has increased to 7 set of items based on which, or on the basis of which, he can withdraw the amount. So you have a withdrawal facility in the NPS which were not there before 2019. So from the 2019 onwards, NPS policies have been introduced by the PFRDA about on the partial withdrawal facility. So anything else? Any more points?
The choice of investment like auto, moderate, aggressive.
Yes. So there are different investment schemes, aggressive or moderate or least risk ones. This is another feature of NPS. First of all, what does NPS stands for? Anybody?
National
New
Pension
pension
Scheme.
scheme.
New pension.
New pension scheme, national pension scheme. Anything else? Any alternatives?
National pension system.
National pension system. Any other? So NPS, truly stands for National Pension System. When the scheme was introduced way back in the 2004, it was called as New Pension Scheme because it was a clear departure from the old pension scheme. That is those who are under the old pension rules. Since it's a new scheme which was devised by the government of India, it was conveniently called as New Pension Scheme. But the original nomenclature for this NPS is National Pension System. So I think most of the points were well taken and all have been every aspect of this national pension system. Let us go into one by one, a quick run through. I think I need not to take any much class or any much point on this NPS. You all are well aware of it. Many points were as per the aligned futures of this national pension system. As like everybody knows that the scheme of national pension system was introduced by Government of India on those people, those employed people in the state and central government, excluding armed forces, those who have entered into the service on or after 1/1/2004 were brought into the ambit of this NPS national pension system. If somebody asks that whether it was a mandatory or whether it is a mandatory or choice based for those people of central and state, the answer is it's a mandatory scheme. Whoever comes into this center and state government employment, they must have to embrace this policy, and all the pensionable benefits or the schemes of which are governed through this national pension system, right? This is departure from the old pension scheme, which is called as, we have migrated basically from the definite benefit system to defined contributory system. Why it is defined benefit system, why OPS is called as defined benefit system, is that your benefit that you are going to get out of after your superannuation is well defined, which means that the amount or the quantum of the pension that an employee is going to get who is governed under the OPS scheme is based on the net qualifying service. So based on the net qualifying service, once pensionable amount or the quantum of the amount per month can be easily drawn. But unlike the old OPS system, NPS is a clear, there is a clear difference in it. It is called as defined contributory system. Why it is defined? That by act it is defined that an employee will be contributing 10% of the basic plus DA, whereas the employer will also contribute equal contributions. That was there in the earlier time. Now it has been increased from 10% of the basic plus DA of an employee to 14%. So that is why it is called as defined contributory system. And why it is not called as definite contributory system is that you never know, like at the end of the contributions, or at the time of superannuation, if suppose 10 of your batchmates are there, each and everyone, and all have a similar 33 years of experience at the time of your exit. It is not necessary that all the three who is having a 33 years of experiences in the Indian Railways will get the same quantum or same amount of the pension. This is so because of your risk taking abilities or risk loving abilities. Depending on that, the quantum of the pension which you are going to get will differ. The person who is a risk taker in the earlier stage than anybody else of the batchmate is likely to get bit of a more amount, because he is risking his asset portfolio from a safe instrument to a high income earning asset. So that is the reason why we can't here tell that it is a definite contributory system. Definite contributory system. It is only a defined one. This defined is that government is defining the percentage at which the contribution has to take place. Understood? All good?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
This introduction of the national pension system by the government of India in the year 2004 was not new. It was not a new kind of like an idea where all of a sudden the NPS was brought out. Way back in 1970s, the contributory system of pension system was very well in vogue at that point in time, but it was allowed as a kind of like a choice-based choosing of the scheme. At that point in time, nobody, only few central government employee chose this contributory or DCS system, while many of our, even you can say that 98% of the population or the workers workers have chose the old pension scheme. So therefore, it was not a very successful introduction since way back in the 1970s. But early 1990s, particularly when the Indian economy was open and liberalized, and banking sector was also liberalized, there were a lot of Indian economy was thrown out to competitions on each and every sides, whether it's international trade, whether it's a banking sector, or each and every aspect. And that was a time also the fiscal deficit or the revenue deficit of the government of India was slightly peaking, right? If you see, if one reads the Indian economy, one would know the year-wise, all the targets and all. That's why way back somewhere in the year 2005, you have FRBM Act, that is Fiscal Regulatory and Management Act, which chipped in to manage all this fiscal deficit. So the government, while doing all this analysis, thought that this pension is one of the greatest, liability for the government of India, and was thinking about that. Okay, why not we change or tailor make this scheme as like a market invested scheme, wherein we will also contribute a certain portion and they will also contribute certain portion. that will be invested in the market, and through which the liability of the government will significantly come down. At the time, if you see that the pension liabilities through the pensioners was somewhere peaking around 8 times or 10 times of the normal salaried people in terms of the fraction of the amount it was going. So government wanted to reduce their burden, and they have introduced this national pension system on the lines of, with the minor modifications of the United States of America's pension system. That is also a kind of like a defined contributory system. 1 minute. Who is Ramakrishna? Union. You tell him that I am taking class. Saline futures, there are so many futures of national pension system. Now, when it comes that who are all eligible and who can join this national pension system, is that there are 3-4 areas of, I can call you. I have just a minute. Sorry for the interruptions. I have up till 1:30. 1:30. So you can come. I think my persons are communicating to you properly that I'm in a class. Then yeah, you come by 3:30, or you meet senior FAG. There is no need of opening that when it is information is told. Yeah. A citizen of India, right? This is one important one. A citizen of India, whether resident or non-resident, can join the national pension system. So you mean to say that even a non-residential NRI who is working, outside of Indian territory is also equally eligible to become or to open this new national pension system, wherein he can get the 12-digit permanent retirement account number, right? The subscriber should also be in the range of 18 to 65 years of old on the date of submission of his application form. The third and foremost and very important aspect of the eligibility is that such a person who is going to apply for the national pension system should be free of insolvency and should be in a proper frame of mind, right? If all the three are matched, then one is entitled for opening this national pension system. As somebody told that it's sponsored by Government of India. Yes, it is sponsored by Government of India. It is not only pension scheme, but it is a pension cum investment scheme, unlike the old pension system where your money is invested, put into the market managed by pension fund managers, who will earn the money, who will ensure that the money is getting multiplied in the right choice or right allocation which you choose, and then they pass it on this amount at the time of your superannuation to partly your account and to partly annuity service providers. The second feature of this NPS that it has a two-tier accounts. One is Tier 1 and Tier 2. Now coming to Tier 1, Tier 1 is called as primary account, which is a pension account, which is a main account as far as NPS is concerned, but has certain restrictions of withdrawals and utilization of this accumulated corpus, whatever you have contributed. Now the restrictions of withdrawals will come, we will deal it little later. It's a mandatory account. Without the opening of Tier 1 account, nobody can be allowed to open Tier 2 account. Regarding the contribution amount that a railway employee or the central government employee from his monthly salary would contribute 10% of basic plus DA, and the railway or the government would also equally contribute. Earlier it was an equal contribution. As of now, it is 14% of the basic plus DA. This total put together will go and will be invested in the market to earn. Now, for all those people other than the central government employee, there is a minimum contribution of the amount one would ensure in a financial year of about ₹1,000 rupees. If this 1,000 rupees per year has not been saved or invested by the NPS beneficiary, then the said account of him will be freezed by the central record keeping agency, and on regularizing this amount, they will defreeze the your account, and then they will allow you to continue to invest. But in case of railways and in the central government sector, this minimum cap is not there. The third salient feature of this NPS is that it has an exit options, that anybody else, one can exit from this scheme, but there are certain caps at the time of exits. In case of superannuations, that is a normal retirement, at the time of normal retirement, if one's accumulated corpus is less than 2 lakhs, then a complete withdrawal from the account is permitted to the subscriber. If it is less than 2 lakhs. If it is more than 2 lakhs, then the 60-40 proportion will be applicable mandatory. You do not have any choice of adjusting it. So the 60% of whatever corpus that you have contributed through this monthly contribution will be paid to you on the date of superannuation, while the remaining 40% will be utilized for purchase of annuity, which will provide the monthly pension to the subscriber. So at the time of this application, when an employee is about to retire, like 15 days before, minimum 15 days before, the employee has to approach his personal department, give it in writing that I'm going to superannuate by this month end, and I'm choosing SBI as my annuity, ASP annuity service provider, and therefore you process from your login ID to the CRA for the same, for the maintenance of that. And once after you do that, and your personal department approves it using through login ID, and the accounts department will also reconfirm it, the request will go to the CRA and the annuity service providers, who will enter into an agreement with you. It's a formal agreement as per the choice of the pensionable scheme. They will enter into an agreement, and then from the date of the agreement, from the next month onwards, you are entitled, or your pensionable amount you will get, unless and until somebody not doing this, they will not be getting any pension. So this choice of ASPs, application of it is very, very essential at the time of your superannuations. Even today, people who have got retired from the NPS, they do not know this particular requirement. What they think is that, okay, I have retired and I have got 60% of the corpus into my bank, and the railway will take care of my pension. No, it's not like a old pension scheme. You have an equal responsibility to come here, to come to the personal department, write it that which of the annuity service provider you want to choose, and want to enter into an agreement. So this is very, very important. This is one type of exit option. The second type of exit is due to the death of the working employee. If suppose an employee dies during the course of his service, if his corpus is more than 2 lakhs, then the proportion comes to 80 and 20, where 20 will be given to you as an upfront bank payment, and 80 shall be mandatorily utilized for the purchase of annuity, which will provide pension for the spouse for life. Upon demise of the spouse, it is reissued to the family members in order by regulation. Now, in order by regulation is that as of now, as per the PFRDA Act, only 4 people are entitled for the pension after the death. 3 people. One is the legally wedded spouse who is alive after the demise of the employee. If the spouse is not live, or the employee who has died has not married at all, but has a dependent parent. Now, for the dependent parent, the pension, they would be entitled for the pension in this order. First, dependent live, living mother of the employee. Second, the dependent living father of the employee. That's it as of now. Nobody else are entitled, not even the children of the employee who has deceased are entitled for getting the pension. They will be directly given whatever contribution was there, they will be directly given to the children. So in case of death, this is the yardsticks. And in case of voluntary retirement, the same rule of 80 and 20% is applicable, but the minimum corpus amount is changing here. If it is less than 1.5 lakh, the subscriber has the option to withdraw the entire amount. If it is more than 1.5, then it goes to 80-20%. Somebody told that we can take 3 times of withdrawal. Now that withdrawal is not a permanent withdrawal. This withdrawal is called as temporary withdrawal. Just like the PF withdrawal, based on lot of representations by the employees as well as the organized unions everywhere in the government sectors, PFRDA has finally, accepted this partial withdrawal, which came in the year 2019, by which there are certain regulations in order to become eligible for the partial withdrawal of your own contribution amount, is that one should have joined and should have completed a minimum 3 years of service, in which case only one is entitled for it. The withdrawal is allowed only against specific reasons. Earlier 4 reasons were there, now 7 reasons. Such reasons are: 1, construction of the house, that is the first house, not the second or third. Second, for the marriage. Third, for the education. Fourth, life-saving diseases. Then the fifth, if an employee wants to equip himself by joining, training institutions on his own, then he is allowed. Then on his own, some business, if somebody wants to start it, then also that amount is, allowable for partial withdrawal. What is the percentage of the contribution one can withdraw? It is 25% of the contributions made by the subscriber only are allowed for withdrawal, which means that if for the last 10 years, if my contributions are like 8 lakhs, then 25% of the 8 lakhs are only allowed, right? Am I clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So only 25% of the 8 lakhs is allowed. So the amount is not so big. Amount is not so big. So once withdrawal is made, earlier there were a cap that once in 5 years only one can be allowed for withdrawal. Now this has been eased from the last year onwards, that anyone can withdraw for any purposes, but the cap of 3 years, 3 times is still in vogue. The next feature of the NPS is that one can defer the withdrawal at the time of exit. It says that PFRDA Act says that at the time of superannuation, that is 60 years or 62 years or 65 years, as the case may be, by the employee at the time of his retirement, formal retirement, he can either take his 60% of the amount directly to the bank, or else if he chooses so that I have enough amount of saving, I have background, good financial background, and therefore this 60% of my amount is not going to, help me for any emergencies, and therefore I want to keep it for 62 years, 65 years, 68 years, or up to 70 years. If one decides so, he can defer his withdrawal, but he can do so, the deferment of the withdrawal, just at least 15 days before the date of superannuation, right? So up till 70 years, one can defer the withdrawal by all the means of the chances, or on reaching 70 years, you do not have any relationship with the central record keeping agency and you as an employee or you as whatever it is. After that, annuity service provider, that is all those people who have been approved or recognized by IRADA, that is Indian Insurance Regulatory and Development Authority. By them, those agencies only will be in touch, will be in relation with you in the acceptance of or in recognition of the agreement that you make with them for your monthly pension. The tier 2, as I said, that it is not mandatory. It is mainly for the liquidity purposes. At any point in time, you can take away your money. It's like mutual fund that you invest in the market, but it offers no exit load, no commissions, no charges. Unlike the mutual funds where you have to pay some commission charges. Here in this case, in this tier 2, there is no commission charges, no charges whatsoever, and it's just you park your amount, get it multiplied, and take away at any point in time you may wish so. Another feature of the national pension system is the types of investment scheme. Somebody told that I can keep it in equity, corporate bonds, or government bonds, or something like. So as of now, these are all the basket of investment instruments which are available in the market, which I fondly call as ECG. That for the heart functioning, the test which you take ECG, you can easily remember on this terminology. E for equity, C for corporate bond, G for government bond or government securities, and there is one more alternative investment which was recently introduced called as alternative investment. All those instruments which are not coming under the ambit of equity, corporate bond, and government securities, right? These are all the present rule which is available for a private person. That if a private person opens an NPS account, then he is entitled to choose of his total amount, 75% of the total amount in the equity itself, or he can choose total 100% in the corporate bond itself, or he can choose the total amount into government securities, or in a manner of fractions which is not exceeding 75% of the equity at any point in time, or put it together 100%. It is not going more than or beyond that. So these are all the investment asset options available. Then there are basically two options available in the hands of NPS employee or NPS plan holder. There are two choices of options, investment options. One is auto choice, second is active choice. Active choice by meaning it is very active, that if you are so risk taking, you can take so. As like the previous slide I have explained to you. In case of railways, the active choice is very well available, but under this choice, you have to mandatorily invest all your amount into government securities. That is what called, in terms of railway parlance, that is what is categorized as active choice. Under the auto choice, the PFRDA has introduced three terminologies under the auto choice. If you are unable to choose, if you are not able to track your market behavior, and therefore you do not know as to how much percentage of the equity or corporate bond one should be exposed to, but they want to have a reasonably good amount of earning by their investment, then the PFRDA has come out with the three choices: LC75, LC50, and LC25. Now, what does this LC means for? LC means life cycle. Throughout your life cycle, you have an option of parking your amount to the extent of 75% of equity exposure up till the age of 50 years. And after reaching the 50 years, that will go down, your equity proportion will go down depending on the every year you gain your age. The second one is LC50, that is 50% of the maximum equity contributions, and then 25 is LC25 is 25% in the equity exposures. Now, whether all these three are available to railways or not, the answer is, as of now, railway employees are entitled for only this bottom two schemes, that is LC50 and LC25. In case, all of you, in case if you have chosen, if you have not chosen this LC50 or LC25, or you have chosen an auto scheme of LIC, UTI and SBI, I would suggest that you should immediately log in through your login ID of the PFRD account, and then raises a request for at least LC50, right? At least LC50, because your age is very less. You can take a bit of risk for this times to come, where equity, earning capacity of the equity is much more than the government securities. So you have to think and do that. You have to, every time you have to monitor how your income is growing. Somebody was asking about this, saying correct about this income tax benefit. Up to 1.5 lakhs of our own contributions are entitled from the tax benefit, entitled for the tax benefit. And over and above 1.5 lakhs, anybody can contribute additional 50,000 as well for availing the tax benefit. So 80CCD1 is the contribution by an employer. 80CCD2 is the contribution by the employer, that is railway. And 80CCD1B is the additional contribution that an employee makes in addition to 1.5 lakhs. Suppose you, for your early stage of your career, you can't make 1.5 lakhs under 80CCD1. If suppose your contribution is 90,000 or 1 lakh, then you can contribute this 50,000 into Tier 1 account. You can pay it through your login ID, through your linked bank account, and then you can contribute to this 1.5 or something. So there is a total taxable benefit range of 1.5 lakhs plus another 50,000, that is 2 lakhs rupees is available for the tax benefits. How these amounts are treated, how is at what stage or otherwise what stage it is taxable, right? Earlier there was a scheme called EET, that is exempt, and tax. Exempt at investment stage, exempt at growth stage of your money, and taxed at your withdrawal stage. That means that when the scheme was begun, even the 60% withdrawal was also coming under the taxable limit. Then, because of the huge, pressures, the government has yielded to, bring out this EEE, that is exempt. At the withdrawal stage also, your amount is exemptable for the purpose of, Income Tax Act. But what is that amount which is taxable still? The 40% amount which you are saying that annuity service providers, by investing that, whatever amount that you get in the pension by means of pension, all these things of the horizontal summation for the 12 months, if that summated amount goes beyond the taxable limit, then those residual amount is considered taxable. Whichever percentage you come, whether you come 10%, 20%, 30%, all these things are calculated for those pensionable amount, and where the income tax is applicable. We have seen all these saline futures. Now, what are the agencies or the organs which takes care or which are functioning with regard to National Pension System operation? Right. Way back in 2004, Pension Fund Regulatory and Development Authority Act was made, wherein a sole organ, a separate organ, an exclusive organ called PFRDA was set up. And the PFRDA is entrusted with the responsibility of complete regulation or the entire regulation and monitoring of your total fund. That is called as new pension. I mean, whatever invested amount of all those employees are there, their regulation of the amount, regulation of the parties that are managing the fund, and development of new financial agencies, so that the risk is diversified and you have a good amount of return. The consumer has a greater level of choices, with you. But what are the choices I need to choose from? Earlier 3 players, today we have 8 players as a pension fund managers. So these are all the prime responsibility of the PFRD Act. This agency is the overall monitoring agency as far as our NPS function is concerned. Below to PFRDA, there is one agency called CRA, which is called a Central Record Keeping Agency. This by name, the functionalities is also very clear. Central Record Keeping Agency. That means that all the employees, details of the PRAN and the PAN, bank account and PRAN number, everything is being maintained at a centralized record keeping place. In case of central government, the CRA is called as NSDL, that is National Security Dealers Limited, whose headquarter is at Bombay. And in case of private, we call there is a Curvy, an agency which is functioning, which is delivering the works or the responsibilities to the private sector. What this CRA does in addition to the central record keeping is that as soon as your form, you fill up your form and then send it, these forms are sent to this CRA through facilitation centers. These facilitation centers are employed by the CRA under its own mechanisms, subjected to compliance of certain infrastructures like server, computers, and then certain small eligibility criteria and a bit of like turnover. Upon meeting of which, NSDL or a Curvy can employ these as a facilitation center, who would facilitate them in filtering it out half of their loads. When railway personnel branch and accounts branch collects all those forms and send it to facilitation center initially does some scrutiny whether all the informations are there or not in a desired format, in a desired in a desired way as stipulated by NSDL. Once if it is done, then they give an acknowledgement number for all those lots that you took, and then they give one acknowledgement number, and then further they forward to NSDL Bombay. NSDL Bombay again scrutinizes with the checklist, and if everything is correct, then within 2 or 3 days of their receipt of the form, they allot permanent retirement account number, and then communicate back to the accounts branch of railways, in case of railways, about the employee-wise allotted PRAN number, and along with the PRAN kit. The kit has the card, that is the plastic card, and some other instructions about the schemes of which will be sent to the accounts branch. Accounts branch, upon receiving, will send back to the personal branch for further circulation to the employee. So in addition to that allotment of PRAN, they will also watch whether your contributions are regular or it is irregular. If it is irregular, they do initiate a kind of like a report called as exceptional report. Every week or every month they would come out with the exceptional report in the name of accounts office, who are all called as PAO. That is PAO means it is pay and accounts office, wherein the personal branch is called as DDO, that is drawing and dispersing office. So the DDO is entitled for, interested with the salary drawing and dispersing your salary, while doing so, he has to ensure that your amount is deducted, your PRAN number has come, your amount is deducted, that he has to ensure. Wherein the accounts, the pay and accounts office will have to pay your salary and account your 10% and 14% of the amount and ensure that this amount has been uploaded to the account, centralized account. So the responsibility of the CRA or the NSD in case of railways are very, very large. They will also issue statement of transactions every year, and they will also give you PRAN card and PIN number when in case if you lose the PIN number, if you forgot and everything, you need to approach them. You need to approach them. Somebody told that all our money is going to be managed by persons called PFMs. These PFMs are approved as of now by PFRDA. There are 8 PFMs are there: SBI, LIC, UTI, HDFC, ICICI, Reliance Capital, Kotak Pension, and Birla Sun Life. These are all the guys who chooses the pension fund managers. Now, coming to the default scheme of 3. If there is any change in the future you make, one can choose only one pension fund manager, right? One can choose only one pension fund manager, not of the combination of 2 or 3, but only one pension fund manager. And for every financial year, you are allowed to change your pension fund manager once. Am I clear? That one financial year you can choose. This year SBI, if you feel that in the next year, this year HDFC was functioning well, but not SBI, and therefore next year let me go to HDFC, you have the option of migrating from SBI to HDFC. I said about the LC50 and LC25. Even that also, an employee of the railway as of now can change twice a financial year of a monthly gap of 6 months. So they can choose the assert choices also once in a year, twice, and they can change the pension fund manager once in a financial year. I said about these ASPs or the main agencies who will be monitoring your pension and paying the pension monthly amount. These ASPs are 7 in numbers as of now, and these are the 7 ASPs. And these ASPs will come into the picture at the time of your superannuation and deciding to choose one of the ASPs. There is no combination where you choose. You have to choose only one ASPs at a time. And in the ASPs also, you have a lot of schemes, like at least 4 or 5 areas. One, you have to choose, you want a monthly pension, or you want a quarterly pension, or you want yearly pension. These are all the types. And you want to have your monthly pension covered by inflationary one, inflationary percentage of a 3%, or you can have without inflation, or you want to contribute only for yourself, not for the spouse, or for the spouse even after your demise. So all these things are a basket of options are there for choosing the schemes under the ASPs. There are certain schemes under the ASPs where if you choose at the time of your death, say for example at the age of 60, you choose SBI for a particular that for yourself only, then you die, the remaining amount of the 40% will lapse as per the scheme's structure. So there are certain schemes which are structured in such a way that where you do get the remaining amount of certain amount in terms of the percentage as chosen by the formula which has been published or which has been approved by the PFRDA. There are different set of schemes under this also. So one should be very careful that which of the scheme is more beneficial to you at the time of your exit. There are other areas where this is all for private sector, not for us, but for the knowledge, POP is meant for point of presence. Point of presence, who is at the first point where the employee or where the private guy goes to submit his forms. Sorry. So we have studied about the entire architecture of the NPS, PFRDA. Under PFRDA, these 4 agencies are there: CRA, PFM, CSPs, and Trustee Bank. Trustee Bank is a bank which is trusted by the railway for handling your all the NPS employees fund at one go for every month. Right? These are the bank which handles and then will send to pension fund managers is as in the proportions whoever has chosen, which will go to the pension fund managers. Right? Under CRA, we have seen NSDL and Kirby, and under NSDL and Kirby, you have a facilitation center which is being engaged by the central record keeping agencies. These are the benefits of being into the NPS scheme. Right? You have a no cost in terms of railways. There is no charges. You have power of compounding because you are able to mix up your assets into equity, bonds, and this one. You have a tax benefit of 1.5 plus another 50,000. That is totally 2 lakh rupees. And you have a portability of this account. That means that you can take this account on your back anywhere and everywhere, so long as you are in the railways or the government sector or the private sector of the Indian territory. You have a transparency in this system, that entire schema of right from the recovery, investment, growing of your money, and then exit stage, and then further into the pensionable amount. Every system is transparent, and the amount is safety to the extent of which that that which of the agency, which of the guy is dealing my money. So to that extent, the safety is there. The only area where you are not so sure is that the quantum of the pension that you would be or one would be earning at the time of retirement. It is not stable. It is not unique. It will change from person to person depending on the choice of the asset. These are all the small tidbits of how the assets have fared as of July 2019 and as of July and November 2020. If one looks at that, the tier 1 equity portion has been fetching an earning of 1 year return, 3 year return, and 5 year return, and return since from the inception of these banks with the equity segments. If one looks at the immediate return for the equity portions as on July 2019 is ranging from somewhere 1.19 to 5.53, right? And on average, equity investment earns about 3.6 for a 1 year return, wherein if the same is there in the equity itself, then the earning of 3 years is on an average 9.5, 5 years 8.7, and return from the inception is 10.67, where in the HDFC and then UTI has been faring well in the equity segment of the tier 1 since from the inceptions. Look at the data as on November 26, 20. The 1 year return, as in case of July 19, is only 3.6, but in case of 1 year return, it is 7.57. That is what is so wondering, that during our COVID period, the funds have been, reported to be faring well. And in case of 5 years, it is 10.33. Again, in this equity segment, I would say that HDFC Pension Fund has been faring well. In terms of corporate bond, the corporate bonds during the year 2019, average rate of growth is 13.59, whereas since from inception it is 10.31. This bond option is not with us as of now, right? Similarly, the corporate plans for 2020, again, it's a healthy rate of return for 1 year, 3 year, and 5 years. Look at the government return. Unlike the equity and all these things, the government return, that is the government securities, all the 1 year returns are doing well. 20.28%, 10.29, 5-year return is 11.56, return from inception is 10.15. The takeaway is that government bonds are less risky in nature, but offer kind of like a relatively assured return. But the rate at which it can compound may not be that healthy. So for 1 year, you will find a 20% return, but for 3 years, you will slowly find, the returns are not that, encouraging. So this part, one should have it in your mind for continuous evaluation of your investor scheme. To wrap up this NPS, I said it is a government sponsored eligibility having 18 to 65 years from the date of birth, has 2-tier account. In order to have the second tier, you must have to have the first tier down below, then only you can open the second tier account. I said about this investment choice, auto and active choice, then the asset class of ECG pattern, and the NPS scheme is purely market linked. Nowhere, no interventions by the government in terms of like an old pension scheme, lump sum amount without being invested in the market. Every of your amount has to be invested in the market, and you need to take the risk to see that your invested amount multiplies. And it had a partial withdrawal facilities, and it has a lock-in period which matures up to 60 years. Your fund matures up to 60 years. You can decide to withdraw or defer the withdrawal up to 70 years. So I came to an end of this NPS scheme. If there is any doubt, you can ask. You are welcome to ask the doubts.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
For railway employee, all the 7 pension fund managers are available, or only SBI, LIC, and UTI are available?
No, you have all those eight people whom which I said are all available. What happens, even including me, when I joined, we were told to choose this 3 boxes of SBI, UTI, and LIC. Now, if you choose the scheme, you will be allowed in only 1 pension fund managers. The system is such that you can choose only 1 now. Anything else?
Sir, if we defer the withdrawal up to 70 years, do we still contribute for the 60 to 70 years period?
No, your contribution will stop because you don't gain any salary, right? Your salary part will come to a standstill. That is why it is called as the maturity at 60, wherein whatever amount is already there at the age of your 60, that contributions can be still in the hands of pension fund managers, who will invest your, rotate your amount, and then you will see, certain, jacking up of your invested amount in terms of investment. After 60, you are not allowed for any more contributions.
Okay, sir. Sir, asset class and the out of 8 selection, but we are selecting the managers, can we change them online?
Yes, of course. From LC50 to LC25, you can choose, or LC25 to LC50, you can choose. you can't change online. That means that the moment you submit, it will not automatically change. What happens in the procedure that once you submit, the DDO, actually in railway, there are different DDOs. Like for RPF, one DDO with a unique DDO login ID and password and the registration number. For personnel who is looking after civil engineering, electrical, SNT, medical, and all these things, they will have one DDO number. Accounts office will have its own DDO number for its own staff. So when you submit through online, it will not be immediately affected. It will go to your DDO in their DDO registration under whom you are there. The DDO will open and then he will accept it, and it will, once accepted, it will go to the PAO, and the PAO will also accept. Then only your entire change of scheme will be implementable, which will take anywhere somewhere between 1 to 2 days. Anything? Any doubts? Else we can wind up. All fine?
Sir?
Yeah.
Sir, if we don't get any contribution in 60 to 70 year period, then what is the profit of putting the money in the NPS then?
It's like you invest your amount in a stock market or in an equity where you allow your money to grow. Say suppose at the time of exit, your 40%, your 60% of the amount comes to 40 lakhs. This 40 lakhs, instead of you take it to your saving bank and earning a minimal amount of saving interest rate, you can still choose to keep for another 10 years with the hands of pension fund managers, where they will be trying to earn more than what your saving interest rate would give you.
And sir, what is the minimum duration of annuity policy, sir?
Minimum duration of mandatory? Please come again.
Annuity policy.
Minimum duration of annuity policy.
Sir, what is the? Yes, sir.
Yeah, annuity policy is it's you, as soon as you superannuate, there are, as I said, that there are different schemes that up till for yourself up till your death, or covering your wives also. There are different schemes are there. So when you say that up till death, it is up till death. So which is an undecided period. And if your spouse, up till your spouse death, all these things. There are different combinations are there. When you choose, when you see the little Google out, you will come to know that what are the options available. Anything?
Thank you, sir.
Okay. So I guess all stuffs have been cleared. You will have more and more doubt when you go into the system, but then you can get the answers through your PAOs wherever you are employed. Right. Thank you so much, for having 76 odd probationers. I wish safe stay wherever you are there. Reduce your outings outside. Only for necessary things you go with N95 masks, not with the double mask or something. Go with N95 masks, and have a safe stay for you and your family, all the family members.